Thank you. Alongside the Hockey Insiders, Bob McKenzie, Darren Drager, and Mike Milbury. And last year, the Vancouver Canucks, a franchise record, at least points-wise, 105 points. This year, they missed the playoffs by 3, and Dave Nonis is gone. You spoke to him, Darren Drager. Was it missing the playoffs or missing the big prize at trade deadline?
It was both. And although Francesco Aquilini, the owner of the Vancouver Canucks, largely was on board for not mortgaging the youth, the future of the Vancouver Canucks, either prior to the NHL trade deadline or right at the NHL trade deadline to bring in that impact-type player, Aquilini's disappointment for the Vancouver Canucks not making the playoffs this season ultimately wins out. Dave Nonis was called into a meeting with his owner at 3 o'clock Pacific time, and after a lengthy discussion on the pros and cons of the season and what didn't take place, he learned his fate.
What's his reaction?
Well, he's clearly disappointed. I mean, he felt that, they were still building towards a brighter future. But it speaks to a lot of things that didn't take place for the Vancouver Canucks. He'll take responsibility, though, for not ultimately delivering the goods.
Well, I think it's wrong on so many levels. Dave Nonis has been the general manager of the Vancouver Canucks for 4 years now. But throw out 1 year because that was the lockout year. And you said it, James, franchise record for points last year. He engineered one of the most lopsided trades in NHL history, Roberto Luongo for Todd Bertuzzi, of course. And they missed the playoffs by 3 points this year in a year when their defense was absolutely decimated. Kevin Bieksa, 48 games. Lukas Krajicek, 43 games. Matthias Olin, 29. Miller, 25. Sammy Salo, 19. Willie Mitchell, 10. To miss the playoffs by 3 points with that kind of injury to your top 6 defensemen, I just can't imagine that this guy wouldn't have gotten 1 more year to try and make things happen and make the bold initiative to get that offensive player.
I don't know. I certainly don't know the ins and outs of what happened in Vancouver. But it seems to me that it's more than just the record. He was close, had some good things happen, had some tough luck with the defense. There had to be some sort of change in philosophy or conflict. Because really, you're right, Bob, it's going to take a full 5 years to judge a general manager on his trades, on his drafting, on his organizational skills, and how he handles the cap. This just wasn't enough time for Dave.
I think the owner's either got an itchy trigger finger and he never hired this general manager in the first place, or it's the Brian Burke factor. Brian Burke's got a year left in his contract in Anaheim. Everybody knows that Toronto Maple Leafs are interested in Brian Burke. Maybe the Vancouver Canucks are interested in Brian Burke and want to get in on that sweepstakes. That's going to be interesting. Brian
Burke's a very funny guy and loyalty, and he knows Dave Nonis very well. You know Brian Burke very well. Do you think he'd go back to Vancouver?
I think he'd have to consider it. I mean, now that the deal's been done with Dave, his wife is from Vancouver. She works there still. I think he would have to look at it, but he's still under contract.
Well, and we have to watch next now. We've all heard of Fabian Brunstrom, the Swedish prospect, the 23-year-old. The Vancouver Canucks that close to getting him signed. He believed in the direction of Dave Nonis, and there's a strong sense he may not now sign with the Vancouver Canucks, may go to another team, perhaps the Detroit Red Wings, although fitting into Vancouver's top 6 will still be appealing.
It is a results-oriented business. The Canucks dropped 17 points this season, the 5th worst in the National Hockey League, and ultimately it cost Dave Nonis his job.